Hi, everybody. I'm letting those notifications go out. Let me get started with the intro. That way I can share this with everybody. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like, hit that like right now. Let's go. Hold up. Wait a minute. Bruh. Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, hit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, chit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring cults. Exploring. Researching. Debunking. Investigating. Being nosy. Super nosy. Being messy. Being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me. The chick with ADHD. Unmedicated. But quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Ooh, y'all, you cannot make this up. They are releasing the photos of Diddy's escorts, and oh my God, my God, my God, my God. Some of the escorts, some of the Diddy escorts. Yes, my friends, come through. Diddy Trial here are the faces of Diddy's freak off escorts. That's just insane. You can't also forget Jonathan Adi. Yes. Oh my God. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Listen, we have been busy. I am working on editing the Cassie testimony, still on the transcript. Still, y'all, it takes me a minute because, again, I'm having to read and record and edit and everything. Yes, my friends. So I'm trying to decide whether I drop it tonight. If I work late in the night, could drop it tonight or drop it tomorrow, just depending. At least the very first day of Cassie's testifying. By the way, in the transcripts, Cassie says a lot more names that a lot of us did not capture. You said, they don't photograph well. This is Diddy's escorts from the exhibits. What do you guys think? You will never be unable to unseen the face. You know people are looking for these guys to see if they have a current page. You know that they're looking at them right now to figure out if there's a current page or an ad on them. That's what's happening right now. Oh my gosh. So this is from TMZ. So here are the faces of Diddy's freak-off escorts. Diddy's alleged S-workers have finally been en masse as week 2 of testimonies get underway in the music mogul racketeering case, okay? On Monday, prosecutors released a dump of document exhibits into the trial evidence, dropping an avalanche of photos and other information showing some of the faces of the freak-offs of the S-workers. Baby Bunny's being loud. Alleged hired to be transported across Diddy allegedly hired to be transported across state lines for these freak-offs. So, of course, we all know Jonathan Nadi. He is one of them. Officially, you cannot call this man a liar or delusional. Okay? Cannot call this man a liar or delusional at this point. He was in those freak-offs. Jake, it's not the same Jake from State Farm. Look at that. So, oh my gosh. So, one sex worker is named Jules, the third person in the hotel room with Diddy and Cassie on the day of the infamous intercontinental hotel break beatdown video. So, remember when the security guy was talking about there was another person who was like not engaging or whatever? That was Jules who was in there. Okay. So another is Jonathan Nadi, also known as Diddy Cassie alleged S-slave, who supposedly engaged in multiple freak-offs. His name got mentioned in the trial. Sure did. Then you have Jake. Other S workers included on the picture: Los Angeles-based white man named Jake, a Miami-based black man named Craig, and a New York-based black man named Brian on Craigslist, and a white man named Skyler featured on the companion service Cowboys for Angels. Yo, there you go. Who's this guy right here? And who's this guy? Oh my god. Hold up, let's look at these pictures. We have exhibits. Jules is the Punisher. I heard the Punisher is testifying next for tomorrow. You said that's Vin Diesel or Vin? Oh my god. Here's one of the SES workers. This is Skyler. Okay. There's Jonathan Nadi. Who's this? His name is Ash. Why do I feel like I've seen him in like a commercial or something? Like I've seen this guy wear a commercial or something. Who's Brian? Greg and Jake. Yo, these are like Johnny? Johnny too? Look at Johnny. He's an S worker too. Hi, everybody. Those are coming in. Hey, Sylvia. Hey, Olsen. How are you guys? They all, like, they all look familiar, Rabbit. From where? I object. They don't look familiar to me. I don't know. Johnny looks like I don't know about Johnny, y'all, but this is Johnny. Yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine being shown on exhibits? This is Jules. There's Jules. There is Jules. So somebody said Jules is the Punisher. Literally, they all made. Ugh. I agree with you on that. Honestly, hold up. Unidentified? You know the internet's gonna find this man. They said he's unidentified. You know the internet's they probably already found out who he is. He's labeled unidentified. Check my messages? Okay, I will. Oh my God. Yo. Ooh, all right. I think we talked about this on the arrest. I'll put it up here in a minute. Thank you, Sylvia. Can you imagine one of these guys being your boyfriend or husband, and then suddenly their face is on the trial? Can you imagine if one of this was like your boyfriend or your husband or something, and then suddenly you see you're like a person here that you're like, oh my God, that I know this person. They're my neighbor or they're my husband or boyfriend. Oh no, unidentified. Are they unidentified because they're not known or because they just couldn't find out who they were? Look at this, unidentified. Who's this? Unidentified. They're literally looking for people. They were looking for people on Craigslist. Jeez, there's Cassie. Oh my God. Like, that's crazy. She's very pregnant, y'all. Oh, wow. Literally. So those are all the alleged SES workers. There's probably more that they didn't identify. What do you think? Didi, did you just give 5 memberships? Oh my God, Didi. Thank you, Didi. Shout out to Didi. If you've been blessed. Hey, thank you guys. You guys have been amazing. We're pulling through. We are going to seek this through. I promise you, we're going to go through this trial, because what this has told me is that with good planning, we could probably cover other trials on my channel. And I really, really want to. I just want to be really interested in other trials. Thank you, Didi. I appreciate it. If you've been blessed, put some hearts in the chat for Didi. Okay, Celia sent me this article. Diddy's trial, drugs, baby oil in the photos from his hotel. This is part of the exhibits. Oh, they did a dump. So this is part of the his hotel room after the arrest. Hold up, my friends. Let me make myself smaller. Didi, thank you. I love you, Didi. Thank you, my love. Hold up. You think so, Ronnie? Make my word. Who you think so? We'll see, man. We'll see. Listen, I told you guys, 32 witnesses on that list. We don't even know who's on the list yet. We've been hearing names here and there, but we don't know who's on the list. Okay? So, as Sean Combs' criminal trial entered its 3rd week on May 19th, prosecutors released images of the belongings found in the hotel room after the embattled music mogul was arrested. I bet he had. Yeah, remember when they said they found Astroglide and they found baby oil? The man was still traveling with his essentials. Astroglide. Scroll on for the items investigators discovered, including baby oil, prescription medication, drugs, and the prescription medication was under Frank Black, by the way, the name that we all know. Like, okay, as if it's not enough that the district attorney of, Southern District of New York did a whole press conference talking about how they had to confiscate over thousands and thousands of bottles of baby oil. You get arrested and you still going on with baby oil. Like, this is making it look like the man's got a full-on addiction to baby oil. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. There's one exhibit. Oh, and there's more. So you got the pink bottles and then you got the green bottles. If I don't hear about people buying baby oil for a long time, I would be okay. I think we would all survive. We don't need to hear this anymore. And Johnson & Johnson is probably not very happy with this shit too. I'm just saying. Yes, they made mention of this Louis Vuitton bag too. Okay, so this is a thing here. All right, this was made mention by the arresting officer on Inner City Press. But now we got pictures. Look at this phone. Okay. One of Combs' nightstands. Holy shit, look at this. Inside Combs' nightstand drawer. Do you guys think, and I'm trying to understand this, like his sex addiction has led him so into the deep that he can't even be like, he can't just have traditional, regular lovemaking type of thing without any of this? What do you guys think? Like, what would lead? Because this is not normal. With all that baby oil, how much stock you think Diddy owns of Johnson & Johnson? You know it, B. Tim. Thank you for the 5, B. Tim. Well, and Ebony, like, I'm wondering, y'all, like, this is not, thank you, B. Tim. Shout out to you. Hold up. Let me give you a little heart. Thank you. If you super chat, I'm able to heart you. Thank you. Hold up. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. We've been working hard and it's been crazy. Aroused without, I don't think it might take a lot of time. I just don't think if he's able to have tradition, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if he's got all kinds of like sex problems or something, or Tootsie Roll problems or something. Getting it down and getting it up and keeping it up and getting it down and doing the thing because of all these things. Like, it's one thing to play out a fantasy, but this is an addiction at this point. You know what I mean? You said, I think he's so mentally warped, that's normal. Like, he feels like this is okay. like a dysfunction. I think maybe that's what it is. It's like hiding a dysfunction. Because I know that there's like couples out there. You got your little swing couples. You know what I mean? Um, you got your swing couples. And I'm not trying to kink shame y'all do what you want to do as long as you're consenting adults, no children involved. Do you whatever it is you do as long as everybody's consenting. But I do have to kind of wonder, when is enough, and when do you decide I got a dysfunctional situation going on, so much so that I've been embarrassed by the DA, and now you're arresting me with all these bottles and stuff like that. I'm just saying. That's not normal. I use baby oil for my lava tumblers when I go to Wally's World to get some, and I have to hold up. Princess Jasmine, you can't look at baby oil the same way anymore. You'd be like, damn, I can't think of this without thinking of Diddy or something. Two different things, but I don't think he has any capability of intimacy. Diddy Docket, that's what I'm saying, is you have to kind of wonder if this man has like such a dysfunction at this point, because there's something going on. Not that we give a shit, because at the end of the day, I don't care. You know what I mean? But I would think that for him to have done this, usually people hit rock bottom. This man was indicted, made a public press conference about baby oil. They did a whole bunch of memes. You got 50 Cent over here trolling him, and everybody on the internet is trolling him. And he's still arrested with baby oil while he's traveling to the hotel. You can't make this up. I would be embarrassed. I would be like, what? I'm just saying. Okay. I do not have baby oil in my house, and I will never look at baby oil the same way. And I have a baby. So I'm allowed to have a Johnson & Johnson product, but baby oil, no. And for the record, Ag effing Nivolo, you can't buy baby oil in bulk at Costco. You can't. You just can't. They made a statement. They said, don't embarrass us. Don't embarrass us anymore. We don't want to do that. You say, you said like he's gotten out of control. Well, he's definitely gotten out of control, but it's definitely giving addiction, I think, or something. You know what, Cheeks, you're right. Addiction looks different for everyone, but the tears the same path. I do wonder. I mean, it's not like baby oil is a substance, but the way he's using it, he's misusing it. That's what he's doing, or at least he's using too much of it. I don't know. He hates women, and he gets off on being degraded. He also gets off on roughing men up. Some therapists would put that down too horrific as a child. And well, the thing is too, and it makes you wonder, because they said that his mama was like a madam. You know what I mean? So yeah, Rabbit's like, no baby oil, will use regular oil. Crisco. Let me stop. Yeah, we got some Crisco. Okay. All right, let's get it together. That would burn, by the way. The Crisco. Okay. Okay, so this is the medication or stuff that they found on him. Okay. Look at this. What is this? Candy? Is it just candy? Look closer at the items found in the nightstand. So this medication, take one. What is this? Amphetamine? Amphetamine. Okay. Amphetamine. AMPHETAMINE. What do y'all think? Anyways, hold up. Let's keep going, y'all. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. He's got the pink stuff. A bottle of medication in the nightstand, 2 clear plastic bags filled with pink substance. One of the bags tested positive for ketamine, and the other one a mixture of MDMA and ketamine, according to Homeland Security. Frank Black, remember that was the name that they would use for the parties too. So that's the name. Listen, somebody's giving him these Hollywood personalities also have doctors on deck. Don't you forget Michael Jackson? There are celebrity doctors out here that make late night calls, and they'll go in people's houses, and so they use other people's to fill names to fill another person's prescription. This is a real thing. A doctor had to have gotten involved in this right here. So I hope that they investigate the doctor and he loses his license, because what did you do to just give this person, who the fuck is Frank Black? Okay. Clonazepam. Okay. So for anxiety and seizures, this is his bathroom. They took photos of his bathroom. Mouthwash, lotion, deodorant, a toothbrush, and lighter appeared to be sitting in the counter. Okay. He got Mr. Tito's there. You know, the little stuff, the salt in the bath. Oh, man. Yo. And there you go. Personal lubricant, a lighter, and pills. Yo. Ew. I think that there's even Astroglide in the drawer. Ew. Yo, let me make myself smaller. Look. Yo, let me zoom in this. It like spilled over. Ew. Holy shit. Hold on. Look. Daddy got a little spill right there. Ew. It like seeped through. Oh, God. Ugh. That's right, Trisha. Prince was doctor. Yeah, he had a doctor too. Oh. Mm-mm. Yeah, Adderall there too. Isn't there a shortage of Adderall too? Oh my God. Just nasty. You see what I'm saying? They like that shit spilled on the drawer. You gonna replace that drawer. You ain't lie. Don't they keep Bibles in this? Don't the Mormons, they've overtaken the hotels, or the King James, or the Book of Mormons. Aren't these supposed to be in these drawers? This man. Oh my God. You said, please don't tell me we're looking at an Epsom salt again. They had that little Mr. Teals right there, Ebony. He did. Oh my God, you guys. Yes, that is true, Pinche Becky. They got celebrity doctors. It's very normal for them to use, what is it? Different names and whatnot. Yo, okay, let me zoom out of this. I would have been mad if I was the arresting officer and I'm having to, like, I'm taking pictures. He must have had a little freak on or somebody, or maybe he used it for himself. I don't know. Look at this. This is a fanny pack hanging from the bed frame. Wow. Okay. What does that say? Hold up. What's in his fanny pack? Ooh, that guy had a lot of $100 bills. $9,000 in his fanny pack. He had 9,000 on his person. Wow. Look at all those. He's all there. And Visine. View of Combs Hotel after his arrest. Hold up. Dang. He had all his stuff up there. He was staying here for a minute. He was definitely staying here for a while. Combs closet. Lighting in Combs hotel room after his arrest. Oh my God. Why does he have those lights there? Okay. The view from his bedroom. Lord have mercy. Look at this. And what appears to be a kitchen in Combs area. And what is this? Combs Enterprise hard drive. This is a hard drive. Oh man. They're not playing. Hold up. What else? Is that it? But I want to know what this is. I think BJ showed this on Twitter too. Let me see if I can pull those pictures. Give me 1 second. Then I'll look at the chat. Sorry, y'all. Hold up. Where's my bookmarks? Let me go to my bookmarks. Here it is. I think BJ posted this. She sure did. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So what she was trying to figure out what that green tape says. They were all $100 bills. Yes, they were. Okay. Look. Let me ask you guys a question. His phone. I don't know what kind of phone it is. I mean, it's an iPhone. That's what it looks like. But it looks pretty old school for Like he's got a personal charger there, okay? What are they saying? She's asking what the tape says. He's walking around with hard drives. Help. What does it say on the green tape on the hard drive the feds found in Diddy's hotel room? What's in this hard drive and why is the green tape there? What does that say? Something about God? And Bagel was most likely the backup, was disqualified. People are Balanci like Balenciaga, Baboli seems to be the brand name. People are trying to find out what the tape says. I don't know. Starts with a B. It looks like a B. I don't know. It looks like broccoli to me. It says broccoli. I don't know. I don't even want to know what's in it. I don't know. We don't. Balin. So apparently he's traveling around the I don't know, the area with what's it called, hard drives and stuff like that. I didn't even know people did that. So I wanted to, let me know what you guys think. This is like, we're getting more drops every day. Okay, so let me make an announcement since I got people in here. So I am completing day 1 of Cassie's testifying, okay? What? Paul Arthur? The 10th SEX worker? Oh, wow. So we got names? Okay. Huh. He's an actor. Some of these like guys look like actors. They look like performers type of deal. Okay, so I'm finishing up. So this is what I'm thinking. I could drop some of it tonight, Cassie's first day of testifying, or I could drop it tomorrow. And it's getting kind of late tonight, so I'm trying to figure out, do I want to finish it up and then drop it tomorrow in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? I just want to know. We still have trial tomorrow, clearly, so we're going to be here and stuff like that. But I do wonder, where do you guys land with this? Where should we, let me see. Should we drop it tonight? But I still have to I have so much recording to do, guys. I'm not even done. Literally, when they I just feel like let me do a poll. If you drop a transcript video, drop it which time? Morning. And when I say morning, I mean before trial. So if it's going to be before trial, it'll be before 9 o'clock. It'll be like at 8, maybe 7 in the morning, 7:45. Because I'm finding myself, these are like 2-hour videos, depending. 7 a.m. Before trial. Okay. Or evening, later after the trial. That's what I'm thinking, because I can't do it during the day when I'm like live streaming the trial. So it's either and I have to at least keep an eye out in the chat. I know I have my mods, but still, like, if I have to step out or whatever, I know, Sylvia, I will get some rest, I promise. But I have so much editing to do. Like I said, I feel like I've been held behind because of, well, first of all, I haven't heard back from YouTube yet on the other video. So I might have to re-record the other one and just censor myself a lot. But I want to make sure that I deliver, because a lot of people did donate and I don't want to not deliver what I said I was going to do. So 7 in the morning before the trial. Okay, look at this. Or evening after the trial, 63%. So tomorrow evening, I could drop day 1. Okay. I can do that. But you guys let me know. I know, Darcy. I will. Thank you. Let me see. I got 25 votes. So hopefully go vote. I know I have. I've been up late and I've been pulling hours and stuff like that, y'all. Okay. I want to go to Inner City Press because I logged off right when they were doing the when David James was up there, right? And he was just the funniest character in this whole situation. So I didn't get to finish this. So I want to finish this and do kind of like my thoughts on that. Then I was hearing a very interesting conversation that Nate the lawyer was having with somebody who believes, I totally want to, this is not going to take me long. Nate the lawyer, let me see. Yeah, this one right here. Did you guys watch this right here too? Nate the lawyer, her name is Colonel Kurtz 99, challenged my review of the state's case against Diddy. They had a really cool conversation that I was like, oh, I like the conversation about, one, I think she is kind of like a pro, or she calls a lot of the Me Too movement stuff hoaxes. I like to kind of challenge myself on that a little bit and try to figure out like where people stand. So I wanted to go there, but let me finish this up because I did not finish this at all. Okay. All right. So David James, who is a assist or was an assistant for Bad Boy, it sounds like he was working a lot of hours and working late, right? He gets hired, and he had to do a lot of traveling. And at the time when he was working with Diddy, which I believe time frame, he said it was what, 2007 to 2009. So he had seen a lot. He was around there when Cassie was there, clearly when Kim Porter was there, and he would see some things, and security would probably, like, what they would do is put him in his lane every time he saw something that he wasn't supposed to see, if you know what I mean. So one of the questions that the government asked is whether he had traveled with Combs, and James answered yes. Who was the security staff? D-Rock, Roger Bond, Uncle Polly, a lot of these characters that are now truth tellers, you know, suddenly they're doing interviews with Vlad TV or Art of Dialogue. I'm thinking of all the big ones, and I'm like, you guys were with the shits, but like suddenly you're not. Okay. But it sounds like a lot of these guys were present when Cassie was getting allegedly, handled, physically handled. Okay. They didn't intervene. Kerry Morgan does her, her testifies and does her cross examination, and she named these people. She called out D-Rock, who wouldn't intervene. You had Roger Bond. None of these people would intervene when this woman needed help. Nobody helped. Nobody. Okay, they just let him. They wouldn't intervene. So that's, I think, a huge deal. But David James apparently saw a lot. So he names D-Rock, Bond, Uncle Polly as security. Then they asked, you work 20 hours a day? David James says, yes, security did too. Security was all over the place. What did security staff tell you? David James responded, to stay in my lane. Who was that? Bond and Uncle Polly. Focusing on his personal chef. Who is it? Chef Jordan. So Jordan Atkins, who we were like, well, who's that? And I'm sure the internet has probably found out who. Did Mr. Combs have girlfriends then? Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie. Tara Reid? Who were the girls? Because that's immediately where my thought. Who was Sarah? Sarah who? David James is naming all the girlfriends that Diddy had at the time. Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie. Whoever Yana is. What was your first conversation with Cassie? We were on Star Island. Kerry Morgan was there too. Cassie said, this lifestyle is crazy. David James says, I asked her, why don't you leave? She said, Sean controls my life, my music. He pays my apartment. Next conversation, says the government. It's about her music, about the album, never came out. Did you overheard a conversation? Yes, this is what James is saying. Mr. Combs said, Kim is my queen. Out in LA with my family. He said, I have Cassie right where I want her. She's young and moldable. And then the government says, Your Honor, how much longer do we want to go? This would be a good place to break. And then they break, basically they end by the day. So there's been a change in the schedule. So everybody's ending at 3 Eastern time. East, I can't even say that. Eastern time. You said Sarah Chapman, Chance Mother. Diddy Docket, did we figure out that Tara was Tara Reid? Was Tara Reid a girlfriend? They keep popping out a lot. And let me explain something, you guys. I've repeated this. I'm gonna repeat it again. Cassie is a co-conspirator, for those that don't know. Okay. I don't think she's gonna be charged, but they're looking to charge Diddy first, and then they're gonna go after the other people. The KKs, the Roger Bonds, the Uncle Pollys, the D-Rocks. Expect them to go down too. They're not going down right now, but they're going to go down next. If this man is found guilty and he only needs, 2 things out of everything that he's being charged to basically go down, yeah, he's going to go down as well, guys. I don't think Cassie Ventura wanted to testify. I believe she was forced to testify. So yeah, he had a hand in the rotation. I think he was like rotating all these girlfriends. You know what I mean? 2 out of the 8. That's right. Unalive Monroe. That's right. I think he was just like, you know, the girlfriends are girlfriends. I guess I don't know. Um, yeah. But did we figure out, was it Tara Reid? It's the truth, though. It's the truth. And I mean, she's still a victim, but this is a situation where victims often do become co-conspirators. It's an unfortunate, but I have to repeat myself every time because there are people who really struggle with that concept. Um, it's the truth, guys. I don't think she wanted to. I don't think Cassie would have testified. I think she was forced to testify. Yes, only 2 charges, and it will be life for him. He just needs 2 out of the 8. Mhm. But sometimes, like the other thing too, is that all these people right there, they enabled this man. Security didn't intervene or nothing. The traveling between the escorts, I think people are starting to understand where the RICO is going. And so far, I hate to put it, but like initially when this started, I was like, do they have a case? Are they going to charge him? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, it's only week 3, right? Of the second week of the trial, but week 3 overall, if you include the jury duty, right? This is going to get interesting. I do wonder how he brought in the top of the line attorneys. I'll say that. You don't know any other Tara? She was around for years. Tara. Let me see. I wonder because there are pictures of Tara Reid and Diddy. She was like at a Diddy party. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of pictures of Tara and Diddy, y'all. There's a lot of pictures. And she, I know, has had her own struggles with things and whatnot. But this is just an assumption. I don't know if it is her. Okay, so wait, there's more. Agnifilo MDC Brooklyn makes us in with the VCT call at 6 p.m. We need more. Ending at 3 p.m. helps. If you can extend, the judge says, put the letter on the docket. Yes, do as okay. Inner City Press was saying, yes, do as Inner City Press requested. So Inner City Press had put on a note for the judge to please release information. Why is stuff being hidden out of the docket? That's what it is. And that's where it ended. Yeah, I think we're getting there. Hold up. Let me see if I can find. I want to see if we can find anything on Tara Reid and the internet. Let me see. Tara Reid. And Tara Reid dated, I think, Ashton Kutcher too. Let me see. So there was a lot of parties that she attended. Oh shit! Here's this. Look at this. Look at this. Let me show you guys something. Show you an article that I found. This is maybe at a party. This is from The Cut. Tara Reid couldn't find her shoes after Diddy's yacht party. As customary with yachting, party guests were required to remove their footwear before climbing aboard Sean Combs' party in Cairns yesterday. But upon their return to the shore, Tara Reid found herself shoeless. Wow. Okay. Like that. I guess that's what happened. But I don't know if they dated. Did they date? Did they? I mean, she started attending his parties back when a long time. She's a long time Diddy friend. She would go to the yachts. She would go to, let's see, past girlfriends. So we know J-Lo, Cassie, of course. Misa Hilton, we know this. Kim Porter, of course. Jennifer Lopez, we know. Sarah Chapman. This Sarah right here that you guys were mentioning. The web keeps webbing. Yes. She dated Carson Daly. That's right. She did. She lost. She, I know, had struggled with some stuff as well. Cassie, of course. Lori Harvey. Oh my God, Lori Harvey. I forgot about this one. Young Miami, we know. Dana Tran, and they have a child together. That's all they're documenting? I feel like there's more. I don't know if I don't think that's the whole list. I feel like there's more though. I don't know. Okay, hold up. Now I want to go. This is the live that I want to go to because they were having a very interesting conversation that I was like, oh, okay, this is a different point of view and I'm here for it. Hold up. And let me see if I can. So this is Nate the Lawyer's channel. If Ahmad can drop the link to Nate the Lawyer. I love Nate the Lawyer. I was listening. I was in the chat and I was very intrigued by this conversation. Listen to what they had to say.
You're going to talk to me about this because I have been texting some other lawyer friends of mine and saying, I have incredibly, probably easy, dumb questions, but I need someone to answer. So yeah, so the title of this was clickbait, I have to say, but I admire it. I'm glad we're going to get the viewers in. Mostly what I want to do is give you sort of a man on the street or woman on the street impression as someone who is a layperson. I am in over my head, but I have been following this story for over a year and I've been following the trial. And so I want to ask you some things about it because I'm kind of like, on all of this.
So let's just actually have a PowerPoint, and as the minions here on the channel know, like Nate's always got his PowerPoints, and there's always yes. I love the PowerPoint, so I'm gonna bring up this PowerPoint. So what it is this is just like my little overview of what happened. So obviously,
I love it.
So obviously, here is let me make this bigger so we can all see it together. View slideshow.
Nate's video.
So this is the indictment where the charges are coming from. And Diddy has been, a lot of people don't understand the charges. So there are 3 individual crimes that he's being charged with: racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. So those are the 3 charges. But in those 3 charges, there are actually 5 counts. There's 1 count of racketeering. There are 2 counts of the transportation to engage in prostitution.
Oh my God, Sylvia. Is Sylvia in the chat? Sylvia, report yourself, please, and thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sylvia, for the cash app. That was so sweet of you. Thank you, Sylvia.
2 male escorts who allegedly were taken across state lines, and there are 2 counts of sex trafficking, 1 for Cassie, 1 for a second individual. So that's what they're charging Diddy with. And the way these play out, just so everybody understands, each one, like counts 2 and 3, if you prove counts 2 and 3, it also counts towards your RICO conspiracy. So you essentially get RICO for free. If you're able to convince the jury counts 2 is true and it doesn't have to be both, just 1. So if you do 1 count of transportation to engage in prostitution and 1 count of sex trafficking, you got your RICO count, your RICO charge, and you're going to jail for life. So
RICO, even though I'm seeing it as count 1, you're saying it also encompasses count 2 and 3, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
To prove RICO, what's going to prove? There's like 40 or 50 crimes that you can use to prove a RICO charge, but you only need 2. You only need 2 counts. And here, the 2 counts that they're charging them with also could apply to RICO if proven. The jury feels that, hey, you prove the transportation for prostitution, that counts as RICO. And if you choose one of the sex trafficking, that counts as RICO. But there's a whole bunch of other ones. It's like there's exactly 23 different crimes they're charging Diddy with that can all count for RICO.
Okay. Okay. And let me ask you, not to deviate too far from this, but in terms of the history of RICO, who decided that this is the way it is, that you get 2 counts of this and it equals this, and then you're going to go away for decades? Are these laws that people have passed, I guess?
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for the cash app. I appreciate you. Yeah, you know what who they didn't mention was Gina. As far as the girlfriends, that's why I'm like, I don't think that's an exclusive. All of them are in there. I agree with you on that.
Yes. So the RICO Act, or the RICO Conspiracy Act, was created originally, obviously, for everyone should know, for the mob back in the Rudy Giuliani days in New York. And the reason why RICO was created was because
it was created, as I understand, in the 70s, but it was the Giuliani days that
used it.
Exactly. Gotcha.
Yes. Okay. So what RICO does is that, let's say if I'm a mob boss and I tell a subordinate, right, hey, this guy's got to go. The subordinate goes and kills that person. Well, then if they catch up the subordinate, then the subordinate will say, hey, Nate told me to do X. That's hearsay. And it really, and what the mob would do, I don't know if you ever watched like movies like Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody ever talked directly to Paulie, who was the boss.
Right.
Like, there was always somebody in between you and Paulie. So Paulie would talk to this guy, and that guy would talk to everybody. And that's how you protected Paulie. You could never really get at Paulie. So what RICO was meant to do was not to get the underlings who are all going to jail for life. It was to get the big boss. And the way it worked was it said, okay, if you have this enterprise or corporation or company, and that company, the mob or street gang, if they were doing illegal things to stay afloat, then the head, whoever is involved in that company, could go down for all those conspiracies. So now the mob boss may not have even known of that somebody was killed in furtherance of the mob enterprise, but he could be charged with the murder just like everyone else, because they're working all for the company, all for the organization.
Okay, and let me ask you, and of course we can get into this more later, but just something that one of the things I'm wondering is that does it have to be, in order for this aspect of it, the criminal enterprise, to apply to Sean Combs Diddy, does it have to be proven that the prostitution, the sex stuff was in furtherance of his company in some way? Or is it just, in other words, with the mob, of course, the idea is that they're doing this illegal activity to further their financial situation, right?
That's a good question, because I'm under the impression when I thought of RICO too that it would be something that would further the enterprise, right? I don't know if that's the case here. This is somebody who's like furthering his self-pleasure. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, that's the piece where I get really confused on this. And I love how he's explaining this. And neuropsych, you're absolutely right. Give credit to women and the men testify and stay strong. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So that makes sense. But with Diddy, one of the disconnects that I've got is that it seems like there was his private life, and yeah, he may have had assistants and stuff or whatever, but there was the private life, and then there was bad boy records and stuff, which has nothing to do with the sex. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. So there are three of Diddy's companies that have been implicated in this particular thing. There's Combs Enterprises, there are Bad Boy Records, and there's another one. As a matter of fact, you know what? I think I have it right here in the indictment. Let me just pull up the indictment real quick. Yeah, so in the indictment, they list the companies with the enterprise.
But you get the question that I'm asking,
Yes.
right? Okay, good. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Combs. So one is, so it's Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs Enterprises, and Combs
Yes.
Global. So what they're saying is that this was, even though these are companies that are listed, these companies were actually doing the illegal stuff. So for instance, when Combs was throwing a freak off, he would pay people through these companies.
Right.
He would pay the flights through these companies. So the companies were the vehicle he was using to do everything, to rent the houses, to do this. And because he was using these companies as his front, that's what draws in RICO. So you're right. So the companies were doing separate things, but the fact that you're paying invoices for freak offs through the company thing, you're hiring people using the company, you're doing this through the company. So guess what? Now your company is involved in all these RICO allegations. So just like,
oh my God, that makes sense. Using the company to basically do all of these things. Invoices for freak offs and stuff, the assistants that are employed with the company, the KK and everybody else. That makes sense.
I think one of the prostitutes was like, he paid for my flight through whatever, and it was Combs Enterprises. Well, guess what? Now Combs Enterprises is part of the RICO investigation.
Now, that's a good question. Those expenses were used for tax deductions as well. He used the money from the companies. That makes sense, because I was like, why is it a RICO? Is it a company? Is it like just the prostitution piece? But if he was using the companies to pay out these prostitutes, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, all right. Oh shit, that's different.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So it doesn't have to be, for that particular criteria, it doesn't have to be that the sex stuff, the prostitution, was benefiting the company. You just have to show that the company was involved in this illegal activity.
Yes,
you have to show the company. Yes, you have to show the company was involved, and Diddy, as the person who's running the company, you're doing it for the company. Like, you're hiring the prostitutes for the company. You're doing this for the company.
But how are you? I'm sorry. I guess just to make sure. How is this though for the company? How was Diddy doing these freak offs? How was that in any way toward the benefit of the company? He was just getting off, right?
Well, just like, for instance, for like some of these RICO cases, the company has multiple different aspects. Like for instance, the Bad Boy Records. It's a record company, but at night it holds these parties that have prostitutes in them. So the company can have dual roles,
like entertainment.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of these things, that's what they're saying. The company had these dual roles. It had a forward-facing one that, hey, we're doing all this, but then they had a more nefarious one where Diddy was actually using the company to do all these freak offs and all this stuff, and that's what puts into the criminal realm.
Wow.
Right. So at least we're saying alleged at this point, because I'm assuming they're going to try to prove it.
So then here's my question: would it have benefited him? I hate to put it this way, but wouldn't it have benefited him to just open a prawn industry with like a bad boy prawn? You know what I'm saying? Like an SEX industry. Like I know that he was engaging in it, but wouldn't that make sense? That way he wouldn't find himself in this situation. Because wouldn't that just give you some kind of an umbrella to a certain degree? Well, this is a, PORN video industry. You know what I mean? And so then he could film, and then he wouldn't have gotten in trouble. You said, that's what I'm thinking, right? Because how are these industries doing it? He would have issues with you would still file with the IRS. You know what I mean? Rabbit is thinking and her wheels are turning. Yes, they are. Meowser. Thank you. He missed the mark not having the. Well, that's what he wanted. He should have done that all along. He could have had like all of his, and then just added an LLC in there, and make sure you do all the right things that you're supposed to do, and then, use that company to say, well, it's a prawn industry company. It would have looked a little bit different, I'm sure, but he didn't do that. I don't know. Let me stop. That's my thought on that, though.
Right, but okay, I got you though. I got you in that. Okay.
And they listed here, and when you go through the indictment, they actually list like, okay, this company was doing this company was doing that, and that's what they're trying to prove out of court, how the companies were involved in all the criminal activity. That's what makes this RICO. So all the employees of that company, who, let's say, if he beat Cassie, and that they one of the allegations about him beating Cassie, and the security guard was the one that brought Cassie back and all that stuff. They're saying that was in furtherance of the crimes. So now that's under RICO. Those security guards are getting paid by the company. They're getting paid by Diddy directly. So he's kind of wrapped it all in together into this big RICO.
So you don't have to necessarily prove that the sex activity was
You said Rabbit is teaching us how to commit crimes there. Well, I'm just saying, he misses mark with that. This wouldn't have been a RICO. Okay, I'm thinking in my mind, because I'm like, okay, the RICO is the transportation of escorts, right? There's still the thing about consent. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just thinking in my mind, like, he could have just started a prawn company, and this would have been a whole different story. But they are heavily regulated, so there's that.
Fitting the company per se, you just have to prove the company was involved. Or are you saying you actually do have to prove it, but you can say, well, it was under the umbrella of entertainment, and stuff like that?
Yeah. The sex doesn't have to benefit the person in the company, right? That's having the sex. It just has to be. The company itself has to be involved in all this in a very unique way. For instance, like in this particular case, the company's the one that bought the plane ticket. The company is the one that rented the stuff. The company's the one that bought the stuff. So it's like it's going to a company event, right? Going to a company event. I'm getting drunk. It doesn't benefit the company, but it benefits me. But the company could be sued even if somebody got hurt at that place, right?
Okay, totally got you on that. Okay.
Yeah. And so the government here is essentially saying that these companies that Diddy was using was essentially fronts, and these fronts, and obviously here are the elements for. So here are the elements for the racketeering.
I love that he did this.
Here are the elements for the sex trafficking by force, which I know we'll get into, and these are the elements for transportation to engage in prostitution. So what I like to explain to people is that the government here is trying to, in the first week, the government essentially is trying to build to explain to the jury all these particular crimes, and then later on in their presentation, they'll tie it together under RICO. So they're saying all these nasty things happen, but now if you put it all together, you see how this is all involved in a whole big RICO conspiracy where Combs isn't the one that did X, but he's responsible because he's involved in this larger criminal enterprise. And a lot of people are also saying, why is he the only person being charged? Where are other the co-conspirators? And that's another thing that I keep telling, I have to explain to people is that, so this is going to be a shocker. Cassie is a co-conspirator.
Right.
So she is. She's booking.
Vicky said that to us. Shout out to Vicky. My mom said that to us, that we're missing this part because we're so focused on, she's a victim. Yeah, she very well is. Okay. It's true. So yeah, thank you.
She's paying for, she's doing all that stuff, right? She is a co-conspirator. She is with.
And I'm sure, by the way, that this is a point that the prosecution and the feds made abundantly clear to her that she could. Isn't there a parallel universe where she's charged as a co-conspirator?
Yeah. Let's say if they didn't like that, they charge her as a co-conspirator. So and just listen to her testimony. Her testimony is straight up. I told them to do these things. Blah, 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 right? She's a co-conspirator.
Splendor. Who's asking the same question? She was. Are you talking about the lady on the screen? Colonel Kurtz? Is that who you're talking about, Splendor? Welcome everybody. For those that have arrived, hit the like button, please, and thank you. I'd appreciate it.
Right.
But in RICO cases, you have what's known as unindicted co-conspirators, and those are usually the snitches. The prostitute, they are. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
The prostitute that testified that he was going across state lines and getting paid for sex, he's admitting the crimes on the stand. But guess what he is? He's an unindicted co-conspirator.
Right.
So these people are making deals with the government so they don't get caught up there. So I think
That's
Cassie's made her deal where she testified for immunity.
Like I said, I don't think Cassie would have just testified. I don't think she wanted to. I think she was done with the civil lawsuit. Then the civil lawsuit happened. The feds got involved. That's what happened. I don't think she would have testified. I don't think she wanted any of it to do with it. That's just my thought on that. Could Yana be misspelled for Anna, like Anna Kane? Ooh, sassy. I wonder.
He's testifying for immunity, and the last person you get because you want to get the person on top, just like in the mob.
Right. Understood.
Yeah, it's wild.
And again, we don't have to, and I think the point that you and I would both make here, and we talked about this in DMs also, is that we don't necessarily have to like or agree with all of this. And I would love to talk with you more a little bit later about just sort of how you feel about the ethics of some of this. But the law is the law. And I think it's interesting too. I think this is going to draw a lot more attention, popular attention, on how wacky some of our laws are. And you may think that Sean Combs, look, if it turns out that he was every bit as abusive as these women are testifying to, and of course we saw that horrible hotel video. I've been saying all day long, I think he deserves some prison time for battery and DV and all of that. But like, if it turns out that he's sent away for life for consensual prostitution, I think a lot of people are going to be like, "What?"
Yes. But I will say this though.
Ooh.
They're hitting them with a lot. And there's I definitely think consensual prostitution alone shouldn't be enough. But
I got you. Yeah.
As a former prosecutor,
You need to watch it. It's really good.
The
Nate,
defense
the lawyer.
in this case are trying to make the argument this is DV, not sex trafficking.
Right.
And I honestly think they're making that argument as a PR argument, but as a legal argument, it's probably one of the worst I've heard.
So do you think they're like dead in the water, basically? Like
that argument is bad, and I'll tell you why. I've done trafficking cases before. I was a DA. And in a lot of trafficking cases, it's the boyfriend, it's the husband who's trafficking their girl, or the girl thinks that's my boyfriend trafficking.
So Nate the lawyer, I don't know if you guys know, he was a former police officer, then he became a prosecutor. He did prosecution work. He has done a lot of coverage. I love his legal stuff is just bam, right there, right away. I love it. Under 15, 20 minutes sometimes. It's amazing. And he's a professor. I believe he teaches too.
This. And then what you also find in these trafficking cases is the way they control their girlfriends or wives or the people they're trafficking in these relationships is through domestic violence. So if you're copping to the domestic violence is a means in which you control the person you're trafficking, and that happens all the time. But as soon as you say, a lot of the women who are trafficked, it's their boyfriends who are trafficking them, it rings like, oh my god. So that's why when they said this is domestic violence, not trafficking, I started laughing. I was like, I don't know who they're going to sell that to, but only thing that prosecutors going to say, like, in the majority of cases, it's sex trafficking, and the way they do the violence is through domestic violence. It's someone. Remember, most crimes that are committed by people who you already know. Most murders, people who murder you are people who you actually know. Like 90% of the people who are murdered by people they know. And the same thing with trafficking. These are people who you generally know. It's rare when you get the person just grabbed up off the street and sex traffic. It's generally people who they know, maybe have a relationship with, who coerce them into these situations.
But I would imagine though that to prove sex trafficking and differentiate that from consensual activity, I mean, you still do have to prove that. And so, and I know you're aware of this, but there are a number of things that came out in Cassie's testimony and then on her cross that seemed like in diametric opposition to the idea that she was in some kind of sex slavery. But go ahead though.
No, you're 100% correct.
She and I know she's one that has really stood heavily on that, and this is her opinion, that a lot of the Me Too movement stuff has been like, what's the word? Hoax, sis. So I know she has. I think she has defended Marilyn Manson very heavily on a lot of the stuff. So she does her research on a couple things, and a lot of things actually, and then she'll come and bring very compelling arguments that kind of make you think the other side of Me Too, which I can appreciate a different sides of an opinion, but she's one that will push and kind of argue that. And I think her stance right now is that, is he really being charged? Is this RICO really a valid thing? I don't know if she did. It has the Me Too movement. I would agree with that, Vicky, that to some aspect has it. I would like to see some research, honestly. I think we've had a lot of Me Too cases at this point where we can pull and do some data research, whether to determine whether some people have, what have all these cases ended up as. Yeah. So there's that.
And this is the problem with, because now you kind of have this new thinking about sex trafficking, and you have the old thinking about
like coercive control, like that.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And one of the things that I think are going on now is that, like for instance, in Cassie's situation, and I've seen this too with DV victims and even with trafficking victims, is that they'll hey, we want to do this day or this time. Like there was one case where the person who was being trafficked needed money. So she needed money. So she was like, yeah, I want, bring me a couple of guys so I can make some money. Because I think her mom was sick or something like that. So she needed money. So she has all these text messages like, yeah, I can do X amount of guys, just bring them. And she was underage at the time too. Mm-hmm. But they were making the argument, hey, she consented to this at the time. No, she wasn't. She had just it was like there was some of them were she had just like turned, I think 18 to be, but it was something like that. But she had just, so we couldn't charge her with the charge them with the underage, but we were able to charge her with the sex trafficking for the adult. But even in that case, we were able to explain like, hey, yeah, listen, in these instances, she was a willing participant, but in these instances, she was being trafficked because she didn't want to do it, and this was a unique situation. And I think that's what the
Hold up, let me see. Alma, siempre he pensado que la tragedia de las muertas de Juárez tiene que ver con comercialización de videos y este otro. Alma, ¿me puedes explicar un poquito más a qué te refieres? Porque estamos hablando de Diddy, no sé si te refieres a eso específicamente. I have a lot of questions about what you're saying. Tengo muchas preguntas acerca de lo que dices. Okay, let me play this.
prosecutor here wants to kind of flush out that it's just like with sexual assault. You can say no once, right, and that's the grape. But now it's about credibility, right? Well, if you told him no this time, but then you say yes the next 10 times, then you really say no this time, because that's the credibility factor on it. You know what I mean?
Now you would, I do, and you would, and I totally get your point about how consent can be sort of intermittent, and just because we see consent in one instance doesn't mean we see it in another. But then you would concede that that also can create a gray area where at times where actually you could have a situation that was fully consensual, but the woman is claiming now it wasn't. So it's basically something the juror has to evaluate based on testimony and evidence, I guess, right?
Yes. And the way the prosecution here, now I think now this is where things get a little interesting, is because I think what the prosecutors here are doing are they're saying, okay, Cassie, tell us your story. She told this horrible story, and then you have other witnesses come and then buttress her story. The security guard, for instance, she was beaten up. She was trying to leave the freak off. Okay, so that's that one. Her best friend, I saw her being beat up. Dawn saying, yes, I saw her being beat up. And even Diddy, like, you got the tape. So what they do is that everything that you're saying about, even about the text messages, is sometimes she wanted or whatever. You have all these other witnesses who are also now saying what Cassie said. That's to buttress her credibility. So now it becomes a credibility test between Sean and Cassie.
Let me ask you on that as well. So it seems to me, unless my memory is wrong, that we've certainly gotten a lot of testimony so far that Cassie was abused, beaten by Combs, but I feel like not really solid testimony that it was in response to her not wanting to do a freak off or wanting to leave. I could be wrong about that or not, but let me ask you this question.
That I do agree with. I feel like there isn't any, okay, so what we've heard so far, and I'm thinking back, and I think I even mentioned this before. I said, guys, I feel like we're not getting like Cassie said that there were times where she didn't want to do it. She was pushed to do it sometimes. She was beat to do it sometimes. It sounds like she was urinated on, that kind of thing, right? Also, keep in mind, there was one time where she talked about the fact that she was sitting on a flight and he was showing her a video that he was about to release to people if she didn't continue to do this. But we're not seeing communication where she was being coerced or pushed to do these things with other people. And so then this is where I think the other side of the argument comes from. It's like, well, we're going by her testimony. There's evidence, though, that she was pushed to do things. I mean, there's people testifying to this, so there's that.
You think it needs to be proved that the beatings, and I know this sounds crass or whatever, I'm sorry, but I'm just trying to be, does it need to be proved that the beatings were in direct response to or retaliation for not wanting to do the freak offs, or does it just need to be proved that there was just a climate of fear?
Of fear.
So if you can prove that the person was afraid, if you can prove there was this ongoing coercion, right? Hey, if you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to beat you, right?
Okay,
so for instance, Dawn saying she didn't cook the food fast enough, she was beating. This guy, the security guard, saying she was trying to leave and it happened to be a freak off, beating. That then you build up that coercion. Well, will somebody then really try to leave if they know they're going to get these type of vicious beatings when they try to leave? So that's the way you can prove the coercion. And again, it's force, fraud, or coercion. So it's the force that leads to coercion that leads you to the sex trafficking.
Right. Okay, understood.
So
no, I have a bunch of questions, but did you want to go ahead and talk more?
I do want to go to the racketeering, because I think
go for it.
This is the crux, and this is the crux. Why? All right. So listening to the testimony, it's still a really he said, she said. Cassie's saying these things, she's saying these things, and it's still messy because she's saying a lot of I paid, I love this, I did this, and then on the back end she's saying I didn't like this time. So that can get really, really crazy. But the government is not solely relying, and I think a lot of people are believing this is a one witness case where it's just Cassie, and if we can destroy Cassie's testimony, we essentially can get Diddy off. But that's not what's going on here. The government is very, very, very covertly putting this in a way where it's like, let me put this up so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're talking about racketeering conspiracy.
Okay.
Remember, I told you there was a whole bunch of crimes. They're actually charging Diddy with 23 different crimes. And from on the right, this is the indictment. And if you can see, they're listed like A, kidnapping, B, arson, and there's a whole bunch of kidnapping charges here. There's a whole bunch of arson charges, bribery, a whole bunch of bribery charges. So it's listed all here, right? All of these charges. So I actually put them into a nice chart so you can see them all, because this, just reading through all this is going to be crazy. And then the last one's even just drug possession. So here's the chart that I have. So these are the various charges that Diddy's got. Now, with kidnapping plus variations means kidnapping or attempted kidnapping or aiding and abetting kidnapping. If he gets caught in eating any one of those charges, then guess what? He gets the kidnapping RICO predicate, and we move on. So there's 23 different charges.
So on the kidnapping, which would be, as I understand, it's basically the idea that a woman was wanting to leave, and she felt that he was blocking her from leaving, or he was physically restraining her or whatever. You're saying that the state only needs to get one of those for what? For one of the RICO predicates?
Correct.
Okay.
So, for instance, for one of the RICO predicates, you only got to get one of the kidnappings, one arson, one, like you only have to prove one. Now, for RICO in general, to get a conviction on RICO, the state has to prove 2 of these beyond a reasonable doubt. Any 2. So so for instance, like here, you got sex trafficking. I can throw away the sex trafficking, and I'll even show you in the indictment. You see remember that section I showed you 13 where that list came from? It says right here, it is part of a conspiracy, blah, 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 to commit at least 2 acts of racketeering activity in the conduct. So from this list of all these crimes, we only need 2.
Right. I know.
And then that's a lot.
You're right. They need
not looking good for Diddy.
So now
they need this list. This is pretty. I like this list because it's like right there. And he actually put this on Twitter, and it got retweeted a couple times. I said, "Oh my god, 2 out of what, the 8?"
So now the 2 I think are absolute home runs, knock them out of the park. Prostitution for transportation for prostitution. This is 13G. I think you got 13G because you got the prostitutes sitting in court saying, and you got the receipts from the flights and everything. We went here, we got paid to bang Cassie to engage in commercial prostitution, right? I think 13G is just, you got the witnesses. Either the jury's going to believe those guys or not, right? Either they just are not. And you got the documents. The second one is drug distribution. Where they did the raids, they found the drugs in his house. Every single witness has been screaming, "Hey, there were drugs in the party,
right.
drugs in the party." I think they got him for drug distribution. They even arrested this guy who was selling the thing. And today, even Dawn was talking about, buying drugs for the parties and all that stuff. So I think 13G and 13H, you got in spades.
Right. So, I mean, this is something that it seems like, I mean, here's what I would say about this is that there's a part of me that feels like on stuff like the drug trafficking, or even on just the simple prostitution charge, or say even the Mann Act, bringing someone across state lines. There's a part of me that thinks like there are so many people who are breaking these laws in Hollywood and flagrantly even breaking them, particularly when we come to the drugs and the prostitution stuff and whatever. And so, on the one hand, it seems like, okay, they're going to go after this guy for that. But then, have to remember he's drawn attention to himself through beating up women and things like that, right? So
no, you're 1,000% right. But when I generally tell people, like, I think Diddy's going to jail for life for RICO, it's because I think it's so much they have here. Even if let's just be honest, even if you don't believe Cassie at all, if you say Cassie's just straight up lying about everything, you still got the other, you still got all these other charges that Cassie's not involved with.
That's right.
2 sex trafficking charges, and that's why when I told you sex trafficking and the transportation prostitution, F and G. If they prove it's like you prove that, then you automatically get the RICO charge.
Right. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a matter of consent or non-consent. It's just, this could just be an old fashioned, this is just the Mann Act. I mean, people have been talking about this forever. I remember when Steven Tyler, reading about this, at least Steven Tyler had a, 13, 14, no, maybe she's a little older, but he had a teenage girlfriend, might've been 16. And he got the parents to sign over their parental rights to him. Like, he became her guardian, and he did that so that he could travel from state to state with her. Otherwise, he was concerned that he would get arrested for violating the Mann Act in some way, or a similar statute having to do with her age. I can't remember. But anyway, point is, he had the parents signed over guardianship to Steven Tyler for his teenage girlfriend. So you're saying that even if, let's say that what Cassie did in terms of the freak offs was was completely consensual, and we're talking about consensual escort activity with, say, everyone. Yep. You're saying there's still plenty here for him to go to prison for the rest of his life, basically.
You saw the list,
right?
You saw the list,
right?
For transportation of prostitution,
right?
For the drug trafficking, he's gone. And then we haven't even talked about the bribery when the guy said he handed him a bunch of cash and all that stuff. Like it's just so. And I think the prosecution's throwing that stuff up here first to get everybody like, oh my God. But then you roll up the other stuff, and then the jury's in the back. Like, even if we don't believe Cassie, he still had all the drugs. He still prosecution. Those are two. Well, you got RICO. Let me bring in Joe actually is here. Joe
what's
in
up?
the courtroom, so I would bring Joe in. Joe, good luck.
So Joe is from Logic. I'm going to stop right here. You guys go watch it. These are all like, well, I know that Nate and Joe, Logic, these are all like LawTube people. And I just always like hearing these are all lawyer perspectives. And I'm just like, I'm here for it. And like hearing their perspective. I think Colonel Kurtz is kind of like, she's kind of like in between LawTube and others. She does kind of like the pop culture stuff. I mean, she's all right. I wouldn't necessarily agree that I don't necessarily agree with everything that she puts out there, but it's a difference of opinion, and I can appreciate that. But I know that she felt some type of way about Cassie, and had a pretty strong stance and whatnot in her beliefs. It's an interesting conversation if you're wanting to hear kind of that side, and I'm here for it. He said, "Good Logic is conservative LawTube. He covers Trump and stuff." A lot to caution people. Interesting, Carry On. Yeah, I've never really I've heard of him. I think I follow him on Twitter, but I've never really like follow him that intense. Not as much as I follow Nate the Lawyer. I like Nate the Lawyer. You said I don't like her. You can look her up if you want to. Yeah, some people don't. She's not everybody's taste. I listen because I like to hear different perspectives. Sometimes I always like to hear the other side of an argument to figure out kind of where my stance is at. It's always good to kind of hear different things and whatnot from different folks. Oh, but today I think Dawn Richard, I don't think she did good, y'all. I don't think she did a good job. I heard what other people were saying that were in the courtroom, and they said they basically discredited her. We read whatever inner city press was putting out there, and all the media, they basically discredited her, everything, because there were some things that just didn't make sense. And we were talking about that earlier, like Dawn Richard, that's how people felt. Okay. And then there was, who else? Kerry Morgan, I thought did interesting, fantastic. I mean, I don't think there was any way to really stumble her. Like Agnifilo got up there and tried to, do his thing. And I think she stood by what she said and, said for what the things were. I felt like she did a good job too. And then you have this David James, who is Diddy's assistant for a time period. I guess we'll see what happens. But they're dropping names. There's more names in the transcripts. I will say that, guys. I will say that. But anyways, guys, I'm going to let you guys go because I have to go. I'm tired. I got to go get some rest, and I have to maybe edit a couple things here and there. And then let me look at the poll real quick. If I drop anything tonight, I'd have to split it. So I might not even drop anything tonight. Okay. So I'm looking at the poll. So maybe the first Cassie's end is I have like, I want to say it's how many more pages? Maybe 85 more pages to read from the first day. It's dense. So I have to go in there and then I'm nitpicking to see what I'm reading. No, thank you, Sylvia. I appreciate you and everybody else. So I'm going through there, but maybe, I'll drop the first day transcripts of Cassie tomorrow after the trial, maybe in the evening-ish, and probably won't do a live tomorrow just so I can focus on dropping that. And but then, because I'm doing like, today we did 5 hours, y'all. Next week, we're going to start early. So I'll be there from the start of the trial to the end of the trial because kiddo is not in school anymore after Friday's the last day of school. So I'll be more available, which is awesome. But I love y'all. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, guys. Thank you. I got to go get some rest. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you, Ebony. I will. I definitely will. I am eating. I made some pork chops early. I made the pork chops. Sure did. Didn't burn them. And they were delicious. Yes, they were. All right. I will see you guys mañana in the morning. Okay. Thank you guys for supporting. I really appreciate it. Bye, guys. Bye. Hit the like button. Thank you, guys.